too long. We are the children of Israel. We are Bani Israel.
That's right.
We are the biblical Israelites.
Well, so we can come out of this captivity and start worshipping God as we're intended to.
And call them different names and make divide and conquer. That's what they do. That's what they do.
Always been their MO.
Right. Anyway.
That's the same with like West Africa and stuff like that as well.
Right. The same thing. Same thing.
Separated the people, made them separate, and that's why they've got a lot of infighting between those tribes.
Right. But they're the same people.
Yeah, the same people. But the Most High said he would do that as well when he said that he would turn our eye evil against our brother.
Yeah.
Turn our eye evil against our brother, and that's why even when we're in our respective captivities as well, when you see another Negro, they're mean mugging you for no reason. Yeah, you don't know them. You don't know them from Adam, and they're still mean mugging you. Still mean mugging you, looking like they got something against you. They don't know you.
Yeah, back again.
Yeah, I came here last time. I remember what you saying, bro.
There you
go. We are exactly the right way to say it, because the term Christian, you know, it denotes religion. We don't have a religion. Would you say you're a religion? Would you say you're a Christian?
Yeah.
So now, first and foremost, let's get to the things. So he's been up, he's put, that's why he's saying come put. But he came and he's done some research. Have you done any more research on what we were speaking about? And what have you found?
Well, basically, just basically, you see how you're saying about like the depictions of certain.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, so the depiction, yeah. So that's a good thing. So who would you say that is, bro? If you saw that picture, forget the cross over it and that horns. The Catholic Jesus. So would you believe, if you've seen that image, would you say that's what Christ looks like? If I said to you, think of the crucifixion. That's right. He would be not necessarily African. He would be an Israelite. He would be a Hebrew. Yeah. So where are you from? What's your nationality? If you don't mind asking. West Africa. Literally just had some bad ones.
We're talking about something now. What would you say about relationships?
So, like in today's society?
Like, what would you say the purpose of a relationship?
So, and then you'd have to go to the scripture for that, because the scripture says that a woman was made as a helpmeet for a man. The scripture points out in order, the head of the man is Christ, the head of the woman is the man, and the head of the children is the woman. And that's what this society doesn't understand. That's why this society is in a position to win, because the Most High has brought a new thing in the earth. That's why you've seen a lot of women in positions above men. And women are not meant to be above men or equal to men.
They've got their role.
They've got a role to do.
You know what I mean? So man's got a role. It's not about... So the thing is, right, people take it in the sense of, above and beneath. There's no negative to it. Everybody has their place. Yeah, we're different. So a woman can't do what a man can do. A man can't bear a child like a woman can.
I can't have
do you know what I mean?
I can't give birth.
We can't do that. They're built. Yeah, they're built for that. Do you know what I mean? They're made to do that.
No, this is what I always say. It's not balanced. A lot of people,
right.
Remember, the Hebrew side to say one or two. That's saying like one and two together equal to.
Yeah, it's the same. Yeah, but we're not the same. It's not. We're not the same.
We're different.
For them to look at it, they know that, because they don't have. When you watch football, yeah?
Yeah.
You watch football, they don't put women and men together in football. They have a women's league and a men's league. Why? Because there's physicalities in men and women. When they have boxing and UFC and those fighting matches, they don't put women in the ring with men. Why?
Psychologically, do you think they can do that in chess? Sorry, sex physically. Oh, probably chest. You think they could do that chest? That's women men have the same.
But yeah, and that's the point. They can have the same, but then you got to understand. Even in chess, they're gonna have some disadvantages. You know why? Because women, and that's what I'm trying to say. Women have periods. You know what a period is?
Yeah.
So a woman's time of the month changes their whole psyche. At that time of the month, they get your mental state. So for every time they come into their period, they get certain hormones. They get a boost of hormones. That's why they have what's called mood swings. They have mood swings. So even in their mental state, they're never right. Apart from one, there's only 1 month. And if you have a girlfriend, or you ever get a partner, or a wife, or a woman, you'll notice this. There's only 1 week out of the month they're normal, because the week before their period, their body's preparing for a period. The week of their period, they're on their period and their hormones are up. And then the week after their period, their body's trying to get back to normal. So there's only 1 week out of 4 weeks that they're actually not affected by hormones. And that's why you notice when women come to make decisions, women make rapid decisions, they jump to conclusion. You might not text your girlfriend for 1 day and now she thinks you're out there talking to another girl. You might have done nothing. You might be cool, but that's how they jump to conclusions, because that's their
I
mental.
want you to like basically.
No, it's my question first.
Go ahead.
Just that's all right. It was, so do you think, just in general, in a less emotional state?
Yeah, that's the way.
You know what though? That's one thing. Yeah, because they're also more emotionally intelligent.
Yeah, they are more. Yeah,
So
that's right.
so the thing is, right, so you know when you said what did we say, what did we say about relationships, right? So when the Most High made Adam and Eve, right, yeah, what did he say to them? Can you remember what he said to them? There's one thing he said to them. What did he say to Adam and Eve? What did he say to them? What did he tell them to do? What did he command them to do?
So go forth and you're saying
go for and produce it. Go forth and multiply, right? Go forth and multiply, meaning that their job, right, together as a unit, was to bring forth children, right, to populate the earth, right. When it comes to relationships, there's a dynamic, right? There's a dynamic. You need both the male and the female to create new life, right? And without the male, there's a dynamic missing, and without the female, there's a dynamic missing, right? So when you're saying that women are more emotionally intelligent, they were made to be that way. They were made to be nurturing. The male was meant to go out and provide. So go out, get food and stuff like that, and bring it back to the house. But the woman's role was to nurture at home and keep control of the home.
And teach them up to a certain age.
Teach them up to a
because
certain
then
age.
when the child becomes a man or the child becomes a woman, then obviously it's the father's job to teach them on from there. So yeah.
Right, so when they get to a certain age, obviously the man takes over if it's a boy.
Yeah.
With a woman, the woman has to teach how to be a woman or how to be a wife, basically. But you need both the dynamics. The reason why our situation is now the way it is because they set it up that way, right? So that's why a lot of our men, right, are leaving their women, right, with children. That's why they're single moms. But the problem with that is that if you're missing the male from the dynamic, right, what you're gonna get is either effeminate men or gangbangers, because they have to provide them. Because they have to become the man of the house then. So they feel like, I don't have a dad. What am I going to do? I need to provide for my mom. And whatever, they become the man of the house. So you either get gangbangers or effeminate men.
And in this society, that's what they're pushing. As soon as you try and behave like a man, they look down on it. They call it toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
Toxic masculinity. How is me being what I'm made to a man toxic? The reason they say that is because that's this, like you said, that's the society they're for. They've made it so men and women can't get along. They've made the society like that. They've made women think they are equal to men, and that's a big problem, because they're not equal to men. They still have to come to us to open the jars, and when they can't lift something, they still come to us, and then they still want to be equal to us. They want us to hold the door open for them. But then they still want to be paid the same as us. They want to do less work than us and sit in the offices while we bricklay and get the bins in and do all the hard manual labour. and then they want to be paid the same.
But like, basically telling what you're telling me about like slave people and how the Bible relates.
So how do you should be asking the question, right? How do we know that we're Israelites, right? How do we know that, right? We have to. The only way we know, right, is through the actual book, right? Because this book here wasn't religious, right? So when you go to church, right, and you're reading this book was a book of culture, had constitutions in there, it had laws, what they call laws, statutes and commandments. That's a modern term, right? This was just a book of instructions, right? And it was written by a people, to a people, and for a people, right? And what do you know who this book was written about?
What, Israelites?
Yeah, the Israelites, right? So this book talks about the Israelites, right? The whole narrative is about the Israelites. It wasn't about everybody. It's not about every nation. It's about one specific people, right? Through those people, though, the world can know peace, but people have to accept that first. The nations have to accept it, regardless. But the nation that this is talking about has to return to the Most High in order to be redeemed. That's what this book is about. That's what this book is about, because all the book talks about is the falling away and the redemption of that same people, the return of that people. That's all it talks about, right? So you believe in Jesus, right? Yeah. You don't. Yeah. But you believe in the Messiah. Yeah. So who did he come for? Yeah. Who did he come for? Came for the earth. Right. Get me Matthew 15:24. Matthew 15:24, because these are the words he's saying, right? These are the words that he said.
Yeah, I remember what he said. He said he came here for the people. Yeah. I can't remember
that line. So who did he come for?
Matthew chapter 15 and verse 24. But he answered and said, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
Right. So he said he wasn't sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Right? He said that these are his words. So if you're going to say you believe in him, you have to believe on the words that he said, right? Get me Matthew 10:5.
Right, and if you're going to say he came for everyone and he didn't say it, somebody's lying.
And he didn't sin.
No,
he didn't say what.
No. If somebody's going to say he came for everybody, but he himself says, I haven't been sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
It was in the house of Israel. It was when I think John asked him, when someone asked him, why do you hang out with people who are ill in a way, who are like evil? And he said he's here. He said a doctor doesn't intend to someone who's well. He's actually the one who got well.
Right.
And exactly what you say.
But who was he talking to? Yeah. And what was John?
He was talking to
the Pharisees. Or the Sadducees or the scribes, right? But who were they? What nationality were they? What was their nationality? What was it?
He was in Jerusalem.
So they lived in.
So and who lived in Jerusalem? Which nationality lived in Jerusalem?
Africans. But what was their tribe? What were they called? Yeah, because remember, in Africa, how many countries are there? How many countries are in Africa? Because they say African means all of them. This is what I'm saying. There's loads of countries, bro. You can say Nigeria. You can say Ghana. You can say all of that. But who were they? Who were the people there? Yeah, they were
Israelites. That's right. They were Israelites, and Messiah himself came from the tribe of Judah. So he came from the tribe of Judah, and he was an Israelite. And he was an Israelite. So when he was talking to the scribes and the Pharisees, he was speaking to Israelites. So when he said he came to heal the sick, and those who are not sick don't need a physician, he was talking about Israelites. He wasn't talking about all the nations.
That's the point.
There was one part where a woman, I can't remember whether it was from, but she said she knew them now, and she said it was a tribe that didn't go well with the Judah tribe.
Yeah, we're going to film a podcast as well, man. I'm sorry, I just wanted him to come and talk to you.
Where are you from, though? Where are you from? You're saying from Africa. What?
Yeah.
From West Africa.
Angola.
What tribe? Congo.
Angola.
Angola. Yeah. So it's a, like I said, there's a high possibility. There's a lot of Israelites in Africa. We fled into Africa. So you have to do your research. And if you say, we need to leave religion, basically, we're out here to wake up our people. We'll be here next week anyway. You lot passing by the day.
Yeah. Yeah. At least we stayed in that other guy's mind. The other light-skinned brother, because like him saying don't believe in God, but him bringing friends to come and talk to us.
Yeah, exactly.
What does that mean? It means to say that what we tell him before resonate, go in him. But it's whether the Creator water that seed or not. It's up to the Creator to water it and to bring the increase. But anyway,
we don't know if that's gonna happen for him or not.
Yeah, we don't know.
It might take a big thing to happen for him to.
Right, and that's it. Some people gonna need that. Some people gonna need the kick in the butt. Just like Paul. Yeah. You're gonna need the kick in the butt, innit?
That's the craziest thing. He got knocked off a donkey and got made blind.
Right.
He got made blind, and we had that happen to him in order for him to say, "Oh crap, I was doing something wrong." That's crazy. That's gonna have to happen to some people,
right?
In order for them to finally like understand and
wake the hell up.
After the rougher people. Well, so where was that? But obviously his brethren is obviously a Christian, and so that's why he's brought him here to make him hear it or whatever. And say that even the light skinned one's been church before and stuff like that, because he knows quite a bit, and obviously that's prompted him to go and have a look at stuff and whatever. Right, get me Isaiah 49, verse 23.
Isaiah chapter.
So the scriptures make it clear, right, from the scriptures that we've been reading today, that the nations are going to be serving in the time when the Israelites are ruling again, when we are ruling again, right, and we're going to rule in righteousness. Right, but the same things that they did unto us is going to be done to them, right, and double unto them, and double unto Babylon, right, because of the atrocities that they committed on the people, right, and people aren't ready for that. People are really not ready, right? So read that scripture.
Isaiah chapter 49 and verse 23. And kings shall be thy nursing fathers.
Right, and kings shall be thy nursing fathers, right, read on.
And their queens thy nursing mothers.
And their queens thy nursing mothers, read on.
They shall bow down to thee with their face toward the earth.
Right.
And lick up the dust of thy feet.
Right.
And thou shalt know that I am the Lord, for they shall not be ashamed that wait for me.
Right. Because in that time, they're going to have to serve. Right, get when the scripture says, and the heathen shall know that the children of Israel went into captivity for their iniquity, right? Because they're going to have to accept it, and they're going to know that we went into captivity for our iniquity. Because they're going to realize that they went into captivity because of the atrocities that they did to us, and they're going to have to accept it, and they're going to have to accept who we are, regardless of if they believe it or not. Regardless, that's not going to change anything. Right? You got it?
Yeah.
Read.
Ezekiel chapter 39 and verse 23. And the heathen shall know that the house of Israel went into captivity for their iniquity.
Right? And the heathen shall know that the children of Israel went into captivity for their iniquity. Right? So because of what they did, because of their sin, because they didn't listen to the Most High, right, they went into captivity for that reason.
That's right.
And people might say, well, what kind of God does that? A God that rebukes and chastens the people that he loves. That's who. Right? Because he wants us to learn a lesson. Remember, he has power over the flesh. He has power over the spirit. So what's stopping him from putting your spirit into another body? If that body perishes? Well, he wants to teach you a lesson.
Right.
That's what it's about. Teaching a lesson. Right? And the only way some people will learn is by feeling it. Is by feeling. Right? Some people don't want to listen to words.
Right.
Some people don't want to listen to words. Some people just brush words off. Right? And that's the issue. That's the issue. You can brush words off, but you can't brush a punishment off. You can't brush a curse off. You can't brush those off. So the Most High has to teach the nations a lesson. He has to teach them a lesson. The same way he taught us a lesson is the same way he's going to teach the nations a lesson. Right? Because he's going to plead for his people. Right? Get me Joel chapter 3 and read from verse 1 down to verse 2. I think that's the value of this. Joel chapter 3 verse 1. Right? Because because the destruction's going to come to these nations, man. Destruction's going to come, right? So read it for me.
Joel chapter 3 and verse 2.
Right?
Where from verse 1. For behold, in those days and in that time, when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem.
Right? When he brings back his people, right? Judah and Jerusalem. Right? When he brings back the house of Israel and the house of Judah. Right? Read on.
I will also gather all nations.
I will also gather all nations. He's going to gather all the nations. But what's he going to gather all the nations for? Right? Read on.
I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat.
Right, and he's going to bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat. Right, but why is he going to bring them down there? Why is he going to bring them down into the valley of decision? Why is he going to bring them down into the valley of his judgment? Why is he going to bring them down there? What's the purpose of that? Right, because they're all down in the Middle East now. The nations, what are they down there for? And it's the Most High that's orchestrating it, making them believe it's all about them and what their plan is. But the Most High has brought them down there for his purpose. Right? Read on.
The valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people.
And will plead with them there for my people, right?
And for my heritage, Israel.
And for my heritage, Israel, right? And when he says plead isn't, he's going to beg. He's pleading, he's going to beg, he's not begging nobody. What he means is that he's going to bring destruction. What it means is he's going to bring war. Right? And that's why the scripture says, prepare slaughter for his children.
Right.
For the iniquity of their fathers. Right? The Most High is preparing it. The Most High is the one that's going to bring the destruction. Ain't nobody else going to bring it. Ain't nobody else going to bring it. Right, and when he brings it, ain't nobody going to be able to stop it. Nobody is going to be able to stop it. So it's better that you hear the words now and avoid the destruction that's to come. Because the same way Noah was talking to the people back then, right, as soon as the door was shut, it was the Most High that shut it. And that door's not being opened. Once that time's done, that door's not being opened again. And there's nobody saving you then. Nobody can save you but you yourself. You have to work out your own salvation. We can only tell you and warn you of what's to come. And then it's on you. It's on you to do what you've got to do. Because that day is coming. That day is coming, whether you forbear or not. Because get me the scripture that says, although it tarries, it shall not tarry. Although it tarries, it shall not tarry. Right? Because that day is going to come. That day is going to come. You might believe to say that that day isn't coming anytime soon, but it's coming. And it might look like it. And that's why I read the scripture. That's why we got the up to read the scripture about, because judgment doesn't come swiftly, the hearts of the sons of men is fully setting them to do evil, because they believe that they can do what they want, because judgment hasn't come yet. But that day is coming, man. The day is coming, and regardless of whether you're ready for it or not, it doesn't matter. You had the chance to. You had the chance to. Right? And the gospel is being preached everywhere, unto all nations. Right? To the children of Israel first to say, get yourself ready, and to the nations to say, let us go. Right? So read that scripture.
Habakkuk chapter 2 and read it from verse 3. For the vision is yet for an appointed time,
right?
But at the end it shall speak and not lie.
Right?
Though it tarry, wait for it, because it shall surely come, it will not tarry.
Right? Wait for it. Right? Wait for it, because it's going to come. Right? It's going to come. So although it looks like things are going to stay the way they are, things aren't going to stay the way they are. The earth cannot be sustained the way it is right now. It can't be sustained the way it is right now. They know it. They know it. That's why they want to depopulate the earth. That's why they want to do that. And people might think, oh, it's conspiracy theory. It's conspiracy theory. But a lot of these so-called theories you're talking about have been proven to be facts. And even still, once they're proven to be fact, nobody wants to talk about them again. It's swept under the rug. It's swept under the rug. But the problem with that is that if you're going to ignore truth, right, then it shows what you're going to be like in an emergency or in a crisis. Because when the time comes when war kicks off and stuff like that, what are you going to do in that time? What's going to be your what's your reaction going to be to that? Right? Because certain people, it will be every man for themselves. Right? All they'll do is stick to their own. But that's what the scriptures say. People are going to stick to their own. So in that time, you need to be around like-minded people.
That's right.
And that's why the Israelites need to wake up, so that they're around like-minded people in that time, so that they can work together, so that they can survive through that. But without working together, there's no survival. There's no survival. That's why the Most High tells us to gather together. Right? And the kingdom's going to come in. Right? So it's better for us to be prepared now for that kingdom than to wait. Right? So because we've spoken about the gospel of the kingdom today, right, and what's coming in, right, and how the nations are going to be serving, right, and how we're going to be ruling on the earth, we've got to speak about the final four scriptures we always talk about when we talk about the gospel of the kingdom. Right, so give me Isaiah chapter 8 and verse 20.
Isaiah chapter 8 and verse 20. And it reads, Isaiah chapter 8 and verse 20. To the law and to the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them.
Right, to the law and to the testimony, to the song of Moses and to the song of the Lamb, to Torah and to Messiah. Right, if you don't have both of them, there's no light. You need Torah for order, you need Messiah for redemption. They both go hand in hand. Torah spoke of Messiah and Messiah spoke of Torah. Both go hand in hand. Without one, without the other, it doesn't make sense. Right, it doesn't make sense. Without Torah, where's your order? Without Messiah, where's the redemption? That should be the question. That should be the question you're asking yourself. That's why you need both of them. Right? That's why you need both of them. Right? Get me
Ecclesiastes. No, 2
Corinthians chapter 4 verse 3.
2 Corinthians chapter 4 and verse 3.
Right, read.
But if our gospel be hid, it is hid to them that are lost.
Right? But if our gospel is hid, it's hid to them that are lost. right? It's hid to those that either don't want to know and want to stay lost forever and are comfortable being lost, or it's hid to those for a time that want to know, that will know at a later date. The Most High knows the perfect time for people to understand. He knows the hearts of men. So when it's time for them to understand, when it's time for them to open, it's time for him to open their understanding, then he'll open it in his time. Like Apostle Paul had his understanding open on the road to Damascus when he was knocked off the donkey, right, and made blind, so that he could understand at that point, right? But it took a big sign for him to understand at that time. And it's the same for some people now. Some people are going to have to go through a harsh thing in order for them to get the understanding. Right? But only the Most High knows the people that are going to accept. Right? And the people that are going to be able to make it into the kingdom. Right? So get me Matthew chapter 24 and verse 14.
Matthew chapter 24 and verse 14. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come.
Right, and this gospel of the kingdom is going to be preached in the whole world, right, among all nations. Why? Because the nation of Israel, right, was scattered to the four corners of the earth among all nations. So this word has to get out to them, because the good news is first for them, right? But then it's also for a warning to the nations to say, let our people go, right? Because judgment is coming. Right, judgment is coming, and you need to let us go. Right, you've held us for too long anyway, and you held us past the point where our iniquity had an end. But yet still you're holding us, even until this time. But that time's coming to an end. Right, get me Matthew chapter 26 and read from verse 6.
Matthew chapter 26 and reading from verse 6.
Right.
Now when Jesus was in Bethany, in the house of Simon the leper, there came unto him a woman having an alabaster box of very precious ointment, and poured it on his head as he sat at meat. But when his disciples saw it, they had indignation, saying, to what purpose is this waste?
Right.
For this ointment might have been sold for much, and given to the poor. When Jesus understood it, he said unto them, Why trouble ye the woman? For she hath wrought a good work upon me. For ye have the poor always with you, but me ye have not always. For in that she hath poured this ointment on my body, she did it for my burial. Verily I say unto you, wheresoever this gospel shall be preached in the whole world, there shall also this, that this woman hath done, be told for a memorial of her.
So wherever the gospel is preached, wherever the gospel of the kingdom is preached, the memorial of this woman has to be spoken of, right? Because when the Messiah came, he didn't come speaking his own words. He came speaking the words of the Father that sent him. And he said that any words that he puts in his mouth, right, and that we don't listen to, he's going to require it of us, right? So when you're not listening to the words of the Messiah, you're not listening to the words of the Father. That's who you're not listening to. Because he was sent. He didn't come to do his own will. He said to the Father, not my will, but let your will be done. Right? Because that's what he came to do on the earth. So the things that he said, if it wasn't important, he wouldn't have said it, meaning that if he told us to memorialize what this woman has done for him, then we'll do that, because she comforted him at the time when he was going to go through the tribulation. And without him going through his tribulation, there would be no redemption for us. So this is a small thing that we can do to memorialize this woman. Right? So with that, we're going to say, all praises to Yahweh, B'Shem HaMashiach Yahushua.